Hello. Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you, or I'm going to basically be answering a question from one of my email subscribers, and her name is Robin, and she wanted to know, she said, "Hi Chris, could you show us please how to draft a pattern for a tunic which is flared from just under the bust line so that the flare is evenly dispersed and not just at the sides. I'm thinking in order to get the flare falling properly, you would have to position the tunic on the bias. Is this correct?" Now, normally, yes. And I'm going to try to show you the different things that I was explaining to her when we talked back and forth. So basically, before she gave me more information, the tunics that I know of were, or that I've seen in the past, have all been on the straight grain. And so I'm thinking, oh, okay, a tunic meaning something that's kind of basic bodicey looking, but once it gets about here, it kind of has a slight fit. Something like that. And something that maybe even has a facing in here and is cut open like this. So it's not exactly right on center front. It's a little more open than that. Okay. So, either way, this is what I'm thinking she wanted, and I'm thinking, okay, if your bust point is here, you want to know how to make it flare underneath. So the thing I was thinking was, oh, okay, we need to slash and spread it or whatever, but we would have to add to it. So, normally I would think that, okay, if this is something that is supposed to be fitted, I would hope it has some other kind of opening. If this is wide enough and the shirt tail is wide enough, you should be able to get it over your head. But let's pretend it has a dart right here just because it'll be easiest for me to explain if it does. Okay, so thinking that it has a dart right there, so it can fit around the bust, at least on the side, it would be easy just to take that dart and to throw it down here so that it ends up looking and remember, this is just the facing I'm drawing, so that it kind of looks like a tunic. Okay, so yeah, just to throw the dart at the bottom, and I'm going to put a little X through there. And I'll put a little arrow here. So yeah, throw the dart down to the bottom so that you get this nice flare underneath the bust. Also, another way that I was thinking was to do it kind of baby doll style, and to draw it like this. Okay, and then if the bust point is here, a little face in there. I was thinking to cut it here, and then you're free to add as much as you want because you're not worried about slashing too far up into the garment. So you could actually, even without a dart, slash and spread it. And you could cut once here, cut once there, and cut once there, and detach this bottom piece and only add to the hemline and keep this seam line connected. So that would be kind of like this, and then you would also have to straighten this line too. So you could have that. Oops, that looks really crazy. And I spreaded it a whole lot. Okay. So say like that. Say like this. This piece. And then this piece. This piece, and these pieces are supposed to be still connected up here, so ignore my horrible drawing. and then this piece. And then once you blend it, you could just blend it so that it's nice and even. Okay, and obviously you would do the same thing to the back so that the back is one nice whole piece. And then you have some options. This is center front here. Then you have some options with what grain line you put it on also, because this isn't having to hang off of your shoulders or something. This is just a piece that is going to attach to another piece. The fit isn't coming from here. The flare is all inside of this. So this is just left to kind of do whatever it wants to. So you don't have to be as sensitive about worrying about the bias. So in order to get the nice cut that she wants, she could put it on the bias. Okay, and that would, and either this could be on the center front or it could be seamed. It just depends on what the rest of her pattern is doing, and then that would be the answer for that. And then you could also do the straight grain on this. So it really just depends on what you do. Whichever one you do, make sure you sew it immediately, because this seam line is going to be, and this line may have tendency to stretch just because of the various ways it moves across the grain. So this is what I was thinking initially. Then we talked some more, and she actually sent me a picture of the tunic that she was talking about from a place called Zulily or whatever. And thinking back on it now, the very easiest thing to do would be to either buy the tunic, or if she already has one tunic bought, either way, to just copy the pattern down. So just to take the tunic itself, and the tunic actually had this nice little flare sleeve, and it probably looked like this. So just take the tunic itself, lay it as flat as you can, and the flare sleeve isn't going to look like that. It probably looks like this. Okay. So to take the flare sleeve and all that stuff, and then just to trace it and remake it, that would be the simplest thing to do. But the other part that I noticed from looking at the picture she sent me, it's a knit fabric. And the reason why she's seeing the nice little do-do-do-do-do-do-do in this area, the nice flare underneath the bust line, is because it's a knit. And a knit is, because of the way it stretches and how fluid the fabric flows, a knit is going to flare nicely underneath the bust anyway. So you really can just, once you trace that, just put it on the straight grain. Make sure you have, you know, your binding or facing or however you're going to finish that in. Make sure you finish all your ends, and sew this to the back pattern, and you're really finished. That's it. Yeah, and that's about all I can think of. If it's yoked, you could still like for instance, I think the yoke was here, like right at the bust point or something. Even still, you could still just kind of trace it well enough to get all your pattern pieces by laying it flat. Or if you don't care about the garment that much, and if it was cheap, or if you don't like the way it fits and you want to make changes to it, just cut the garment. Just cut it on all the seams. Make sure you number your pieces. I always like to number before I cut stuff. So I'll do 1, 2, 3. And then I'll even put like a notch in certain places. That way I know what pieces connect to what pieces. And it's easy to just notch with like a black marker, one of those large permanent markers, so that you can make sure you can see the notches that you're putting. And just notch it there, so you know what connects, and then cut your pieces apart. So you got piece number 3, and then the straight grain is going to go basically with this edge of the sleeve, wherever the middle of that sleeve is. And of course the sleeve isn't going to have a seam in it, so it's going to be whatever this is. So we'll just pretend this is the center of the sleeve, even though the sleeve doesn't look right. That's your piece number 3, your piece number 2, and then your piece number 1. Then there's a notch there, and then there's a notch here. And then you just redo your pieces. If you kind of know what you want to change, or if you want to add some more flare here, you can slash and spread with knits. You just have to be careful because some knits are very heavy. If you have something that's more like a jersey or a cotton, you'll probably be fine. But your knit needs to have some kind of body to it, but be careful not to get a heavy knit because it's almost counterproductive. Knits that are too soft and too flimsy aren't going to really flare all that prettily, especially if they're too thin. And a knit that's too heavy and too much body on it is going to just fall and not look very good either. So you kind of want to see if you can find something in between. Find some fabrics in your closet that you really like. Take them and actually hold them like this. Not on you, but like, you know, in the air, to kind of see how they drape. And if you can find a fabric that has a nice drape to it, you'll know, okay, if I do a little bit of flare, it's only going to do so much, so I might have to add a lot of flare and a lot of room so that it'll give me these nice full drapes. Okay, and that'll kind of instruct you on about how much you want to make it big, and then go back and sew it down. If you want to make your sleeve even fuller, do that too. Just be careful of too much fabric around your body, and it might make you sweat. If that's not something you're looking for, then there you go. But anyway, long story short, if this is a knit, you don't really have to put it on the bias because you're really just using the bias for its stretch, and then also because of how the grain flows across a bias cut garment. Something that flares is going to have a different fall. If you in a very even fall, something that comes all the way across the garment, not something that avoids the middle like something that's on straight grain. Something that's on bias will kind of fold all the way through the garment, or flare all the way through the garment. So I understand why she thought that. It's just if it's knit, the knit is going to kind of do that anyway, especially if there's enough room in it. So you really can just add to the side. And if you feel like that might not give you enough room, the place that I might suggest adding to would, and it's hard to say, would probably be here. And you could take it and cut it and spread it just a little bit, but even then I don't know if it's going to give you what you want in the middle of the garment. So maybe spread it about an inch here in the center part, and then you can always cut the sleeve into a separate piece, and then you can always add. So let's say you cut here, you can always add to there too. So I would add like 3 inches here because that's landing up under your arm, and so that would be kind of nice there too. So that's about all the advice I have on that. Hope you got a lot out of this video. And that is basically it. I do an email newsletter that goes out Friday or Monday through Friday, where I basically write about stuff like this, and then every now and then I'll take someone's question or a topic we talked about and I'll make a YouTube video on it. So if you want to be the first to hear about all this stuff, or if you want to submit your questions, just hop onto my email list. I still do questions from my YouTube, but if you want to hear from me on a rapid Monday through Friday basis, get on my email list, because I don't always keep my website up, and I don't always keep my Facebook up or my YouTube channel up. But my email list is something I try to make a habit of emailing Monday through Friday. Even if it gets out late, late in the day, I still try to get it out. So anyway, that's it. Join. There should be links in the description and links like on little annotations and stuff if this is on Facebook. So anyway, that's it. Thank you very much.